right, reading notebooks for today's reading. You want to get those out. We have a place to put some notes down. We're going to get started with our novel, Where the Red Fern Grows. At the top of your next clean page in your notebook, you're going to want to write red fern, and then underneath that, you can write characterization. We're going to talk about that word. What should you like?
I was wondering if we could use the red fern grows for our book.
Nope, I said that yesterday. Can't be used for the book report. And speaking of book report, don't forget you have to pick a book that I approve for one of your January books, not both of them, and I'm not doing it right now. Okay? One of your books has to be an actual book that I approve, and it cannot be, I mentioned this all yesterday, but I'm going to say it again, it cannot be Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, those type of comic books like that, and it cannot be Where the Red Fern Grows book, because that's the book we're doing together in class. You need to pick a book for you to read. Yeah, I've had some people ask about Goosebumps, those are good ones, okay, but make sure you let me know, because I'm writing it down so I know that I heard from you. Okay? Alright. Red fern at the top, characterization underneath. What is characterization? What does that mean? What does characterization mean? What do you think it means? What word do you see in there that's familiar? Nick? Character. Right? We know what characters are. What are characters?
They're like people.
Yeah. They might be people, they sometimes can be animals, right? Okay, that could be all varieties of things, but they're the main person, place, or thing, I guess you might say, in a story, right? And they're usually telling us a story, or somebody is telling us a story about them. We've talked about the different points of view a story can come from. Okay, so what do you think characterization means? What do you think that means? Nick?
Is it like what the characters are doing?
Okay, it has part to do with what they're doing. What else? What they're doing. What else might it include? Maya?
Maybe like
Their personality. Good. Things they're doing, their personality. Riker?
Did Nick say their actions?
What they're doing, actions. Yeah, you're just using a little different word. Good. Actions, right, which is what they're doing. What else do characters sometimes do in a story? They do things, they have actions, right? We get to know their personality. How do we get to know a character's personality? How do we get to know it? Hunter? By how they act, right? By their actions, by what they're doing. What else? It's more than just doing. Something else, Riker.
By what they're saying.
Right, what they're saying, right? Their actions and their words help us understand who they are, their personality, their qualities. So characterization is kind of developing that, right? You're going to take this particular character or person, whatever it is, and they're going to do things and they're going to say things, and that tells us about this person, right? Gives us their personality, their character traits, right? What are traits? Remember, traits are different from feelings. What are character traits? Nick?
Things they can do. Not like.
You're thinking in the right direction. Things they can do, maybe more of how or why they do things, right? Okay, it's kind of what makes them who they are. Okay, some people are very determined and they persevere and they continue. Some people are okay with just doing things in a simple way. Okay, and that's what works for them, right? Some people have different qualities and they're very athletic. Other people might be very crafty. Okay, those are typically things that aren't going to change, right? That's going to be who you are for a long time. Okay, so characterization. We got a lot of good words we can write up here for what it is. So it's the actions we're going to put, and we'll say things they say. Things said by a character. To understand who they are, right? I'm gonna put down here, you might think about traits. Personality was mentioned, okay, those kind of go together. So some other words to have written down there that we may discuss or come up with, and we can relate to the word characterization, okay? Riker.
We do this in a notebook, right?
Yeah, you're gonna write this down in your notebook for right now, okay? Let's make sure we can see all of it. There we go. Give me a second to write that down. Alright. A few more seconds here. I have a few people still writing. Alright, some of you are still writing, and that's okay. If you're watching it, you can pause it. We're gonna keep going here, okay? You read a little bit yesterday about the author and this particular story that he wrote, right? You made a prediction, okay? We know it's about a boy whose name is Billy, right? And it's about dogs, something to do along those lines, okay? And you made your predictions. So I'm gonna give you a little more background. So our story starts out in this first chapter as Billy being an older person, okay? He's grown up, okay? He's not living at home anymore, he's an adult, okay? And something triggers some memories for him, okay? And he starts to tell us a story about when he was younger. So we're gonna get two sides to Billy. We're gonna see him and learn today about him as he is older, okay? And then, starting tomorrow, I believe chapter 2 takes us back in time when he was younger, okay? And we learn about Billy as a boy. Okay, so we're gonna read chapter 1 together, and we're gonna think about the actions and the things that he says and does, okay, as an adult, and we're gonna compare that then later to how he was as a child. Did he change any? Was he very similar? Okay? So in your notebook as we're reading, I want you to kind of jot down maybe page numbers or quick notes about Billy in chapter 1. Because then we're going to take those notes, and we have a worksheet we're going to look at here in a little bit. We're going to kind of plug that stuff in. Okay? Question, Canyon.
I read chapter 1 last night. I thought we were supposed to.
That's okay. Was it good? Did you like it so far? Okay. Well, we're going to listen to it again. Nothing wrong with that, right? Okay, sometimes reading things more than once helps us find things we didn't the first time. Okay, I'm going to slide this over here.
Is this book on Epic?
Nope. All right, and I showed you yesterday. So we're going to go into your iPad here, on your iPad, where the red fern grows. We're going to click into that folder. Remember that top link up here. Whenever I say you need to read a chapter, if I don't do a video or something, that's where you're going to go. Okay, the very top link. And I'm going to have to fix this because I think it opens it in Schoology and I don't want it to. So then I have to click up here again. It might be different on your iPad. And you can save this website once you get it open, so then you just go to your bookmark website instead of Schoology. Okay?
Yeah.
We're going to click on chapter 1. That's what we're reading right now. Remember, I said up here allows you to listen to it if you prefer to do that as opposed to read it. Okay, that's up to you in this case. Some people prefer one or the other. All right, we're going to listen to it since it's all of us together reading chapter 1. So remember, this first chapter is kind of like a present day chapter. Okay, and then we're going to look at chapter 2 tomorrow, and that kind of takes you back. He's kind of telling this story, okay, after some things trigger his memory. All right, Canyon?
There's also one thing about this. There's no page numbers on this.
Yeah, I know. There's no page numbers on this, which is why the vocab we did a little different yesterday, okay? So there aren't page numbers, but you can follow along and know where we're at. And it's nice that we can just click on the chapters we're reading, okay?
Wait, I don't like. Wait.
It's not in there. We're not in there. You're on the iPad.
Are we gonna read it on, like, if we have headphones, are we
No, we're gonna listen to it together right now. Okay? Everybody's listening to it together. I'm gonna hit play. You can follow along on your iPad. Okay?
I have a
Question. Who? Nick?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because if I bookmark this,
Mhm.
is this app just for this story?
It's a website. I'm guessing yes. It's probably just specifically for this story. So once we're done with it, you could always delete it later. Okay. All right. Are we ready? Following along. Chapter 1. I'm gonna hit play. Let's see. Make sure I've got it turned up.
When I left my office that beautiful spring day, I had no idea what was in store for me. To begin with, everything was too
That is
perfect
fast,
for
isn't
anything
it?
unusual to happen.
Let's see.
It was one of those days when a man feels good, feels like speaking to his neighbor, is glad to live in a country like ours and proud of his government. You know what I mean, one of those rare days when everything is right and nothing is wrong. I was walking along whistling when I heard the dog fight. At first I paid no attention to it. After all, it wasn't anything to get excited about, just another dog fight in the residential section. As the sound of the fight grew nearer, I could tell there were quite a few dogs mixed up in it. They boiled out of an alley, turned, and headed straight toward me. Not wanting to get bitten or run over, I moved over to the edge of the sidewalk. I could see that all the dogs were fighting one. About 25 feet from me, they caught him, and down he went. I felt sorry for the unfortunate one. I knew if something wasn't done quickly, the sanitation department would have to pick up a dead dog. I was trying to make up my mind to help when I got a surprise. Up out of that snarling, growling, slashing mass reared an old red-boned hound. For a second I saw him. I caught my breath. I couldn't believe what I had seen. Twisting and slashing, he fought his way through the pack and backed up under the low branches of a hedge. Growling and snarling, they formed a half-moon circle around him. A big bird dog, bolder than the others, darted in. The hedge shook as he tangled with the hound. He came out so fast he fell over backwards. I saw that his right ear was split wide open. It was too much for him, and he took off down the street squalling like a scalded cat. A big, ugly cur tried his luck. He didn't get off so easy. He came out with his left shoulder laid open to the bone. He sat down on his rear and let the world know that he had been hurt. By this time, my fighting blood was boiling. It's hard for a man to stand and watch an old hound fight against such odds. Especially if that man has memories in his heart like I had in mine. I had seen the time when an old hound like that had given his life so that I might live. Taking off my coat, I waded in. My yelling and...
So what triggered memories for him? John? Yeah, the dog fight triggered some memories, right? Okay, so now he feels this urge to help the dog out, right?
Yeah.
Why? Why does he feel that urge? Yeah, a little more to read, but Riker, what do you think so far?
Because there's a big pack of dogs fighting a non-big dog.
Okay, all right. A lot of them on one, right? Kenny?
And that little dog used to have the same exact type of dog.
Right. He had the same kind of dog, so that's really triggering some memories too. And he knows that those dogs, or his that he had, were loyal. Okay, Josh?
He said that the bloodhound saved his life, so that
Right.
he might live.
Right. So he's gonna kind of pay it forward, right? Okay. Oh, let's hit play again. We'll keep going.
Holding didn't have much effect, but the swinging coat did. The dog scattered and left. Down on my knees, I peered back under the hedge. The hound was still mad. He growled at me and showed his teeth. I knew it wasn't his nature to fight a man. In a soft voice, I started talking to him. "Come on, boy," I said. "It's all right. I'm your friend. Come on now." The fighting fire slowly left his eyes. He bowed his head, and his long red tail started thumping the ground. I kept coaxing. On his stomach, an inch at a time, he came to me and laid his head in my hand. I almost cried at what I saw. His coat was dirty and mud-caked. His skin was stretched drum-tight over his bony frame. The knotty joints of his hips and shoulders stood out a good 3 inches from his body. I could tell he was starved. I couldn't figure it out. He didn't belong in town. He was far out of place with the boxers, poodles, bird dogs, and other breeds of town dogs. He belonged in the country. He was a hunting hound. I raised one of his paws, and there I read the story. The pads were worn down, slick as the rind on an apple. I knew he had come a long way, and no doubt had a long way to go. Around his neck was a crude collar. On closer inspection, I saw it had been made from a piece of check-line leather. 2 holes had been punched in each end, and the ends were laced together with baling wire. As I turned the collar with my finger, I saw something else. There, scratched deep in the tough leather, was the name Buddy. I guessed that the crude, scribbly letters had probably been written by a little boy. It's strange indeed how memories can...
There we go. Let's think about Billy so far. Back to our characterization. What are some things he did? Hunter?
Yeah.
Some things that he did so far in the story. Already, we're just getting started. He's already got some interesting actions. Kenny?
He saved the dog.
Okay, how? How did he save that dog?
He helped him out.
By doing... What did he do?
Scaring away all the other dogs.
Okay, he broke up the dog fight, right? Scared the other dogs away, broke up the dog fight to rescue this hound. Okay, I'm just gonna draw a line here. I'm gonna write Billy. And we're gonna say actions so far were... I'm gonna write it down, hold on here. Broke up the dog fight. What else does he do for this dog? What is he doing currently? Juliana? He was what?
He was calming the dog.
He was trying to calm him down, right? Good. Calms the dog. Okay. Anything else? Other actions? No, nothing else we can think of right now? Riker, question? Go ahead.
Is the hound Billy's dog from like when he was a kid, or is it somebody else's?
He said his dog when it was a kid died.
Let's see. I don't think anything was really said yet, correct? We just got a lot of actions right now happening. Yep, we're getting to some words. All right, so let's go back over here. We'll keep listening to our story. And play.
Lie dormant in a man's mind for so many years, yet those memories can be awakened and brought forth fresh and new just by something you've seen or something you've heard or the sight of an old familiar face. What I saw in the warm gray eyes of the friendly old hound brought back wonderful memories. To show my gratitude, I took hold of his collar and said, "Come on, boy, let's go home and get something to eat." He seemed to understand that he had found a friend. He came willingly. I gave him a bath and rubbed all the soreness from his muscles. He drank quarts of warm milk and ate all the meat I had in the house. I hurried down to the store and bought more. He ate until he was satisfied. He slept all that night and most of the next day. Late in the afternoon, he grew restless. I told him I understood, and as soon as it was dark, he could be on his way. I figured he had a much better chance if he left town at night. That evening, a little after sundown, I opened the back gate. He walked out, stopped, turned around, and looked at me. He thanked me by wagging his tail. With tears in my eyes, I said, "You're more than welcome, old fellow. In fact, you could have stayed here as long as you wanted to." He whined and licked my hand. I was wondering which way he would go. With one final whimper, he turned and headed east. I couldn't help smiling as I watched him trot down the alley. I noticed the way his hindquarters shifted over to the right, never in line with the front, yet always in perfect rhythm. His long ears flopped up and down, keeping time with the jogging motion of his body. Yes, they were all there, the unmistakable marks of a hunting hound. Where the alley emptied into the street, he stopped and looked back. I waved my hand. As I watched him disappear in the twilight shadows, I whispered these words: "Goodbye, old fellow. Good luck and good hunting." I didn't have to let him go. I could have kept him in my backyard. But to pen up a dog like that is a sin. It would have broken his heart. The will to live would have slowly left his body. I had no idea where he had come from or where he was going. Perhaps it wasn't too far, or maybe it was a long, long way. I tried to make myself believe that his home was in the Ozark Mountains, somewhere in Missouri or Oklahoma. It wasn't impossible, even though it was a long way from the Snake River Valley in Idaho. I figured something drastic must have happened in his life, as it is very unusual for a hound to be traveling all alone. Perhaps he had been stolen, or maybe he had been sold for some much-needed money. Whatever it was that had interrupted his life, he was trying to straighten it out. He was going home to the master he loved, and with the help of God, he would make it. To him, it made no difference how long the road or how rough or rocky. His old red feet would keep jogging along, on and on, mile after mile. There would be no crying or giving up. When his feet grew tired and weary, he would curl up in the weeds and rest. Water from a rain puddle or a mountain stream would quench his thirst and cool his hot, dry throat. Food found along the highway or the offerings from a friendly hand would ease the pangs of hunger. Through the rains, the snows, or the desert heat, he would jog along, never looking back. Some morning, he would be found curled up on the front porch. The long journey would be over. He would be home. There would be a lot of tail wagging and a few whimpering cries. His warm, moist tongue would caress the hand of his master. All would be forgiven. Once again, the lights would shine in his dog's world. His heart would be happy. After my friend had disappeared in the darkness, I stood and stared at the empty alley. A strange feeling came over me. At first I thought I was lonely or sad, but I realized that wasn't it at all. The feeling was a wonderful one. Although the old hound had no way of knowing it, he had stirred memories, and what priceless treasures they were. Memories of my boyhood days, an old KC baking powder can, and 2 little red hounds. Memories of a wonderful love, unselfish devotion, and death in its saddest form. As I turned to enter my yard, I started to lock the gate, and then I thought, no, I'll leave it open. He might come back. I was about halfway to the house when a cool breeze drifted down from the rugged Tetons. It had a bite in it, and goose pimples jumped out on my skin. I stopped at the woodshed and picked up several sticks of wood. I didn't turn on any lights on entering the house. The dark, quiet atmosphere was a perfect setting for the mood I was in. I built a fire in the fireplace and pulled up my favorite rocker. As I sat there in the silence, the fire grew larger. It crackled and popped. Firelight shadows began to shimmer and dance around the room. The warm, comfortable heat felt good. I struck a match to light my pipe. As I did, 2 beautiful cups gleamed from the mantel. I held the match up so I could get a better look. There they were, sitting side by side. One was large, with long, upright handles that stood out like wings on a mourning dove. The highly polished surface gleamed and glistened with a golden sheen. The other was smaller and made of silver. It was neat and trim and sparkled like a white star in the heavens. I got up and took them down. There was a story in those cups, a story that went back more than a half-century. As I caressed the smooth surfaces, my mind drifted back through the years, back to my boyhood days. How wonderful the memories were. Piece by piece, the story unfolded.
All right. So from here, he starts, maybe, if I can get back up here. There we go. All right, it did pause. All right, so from here, he goes back in time and starts to tell us the story about when he was younger. But right now, let's focus on Billy as an adult. What are some things he said that might help us understand who he is? What kind of person he might be? Riker, what did he say?
That he had 2 red hounds when he was a kid.
Okay, he's thinking about those. So I'm thinking things that he said that were in quotes. So if I look here, I know those of you, I can move this back over
It's all right.
so we can see. Whoop, hello, chair. So here we have quotes, right? These things are being said, okay? That's what I'm looking for. Things that he said. We've got actions, and we can add more actions, or you could have added more actions. Okay, but let's look at some things that he said to help us understand who he is. Kenny?
He said, "Oh, leave it open. I might come back."
Okay, he said, I'm going to talk about the gate, right? I'll leave it open. He might come back. Okay. I'm going to write the word words. Yep. Sayings, you can call it whatever you want. I'll leave it, and then in parentheses I'm going to put gate, so we know. Okay. How about those words I have up here? Come on, boy, I said. It's all right. I'm your friend. Come on now, right? Could write those down. Maybe not all of them, maybe some of them. Could write the words I'm your friend down. Well, we've got some. Here we have some a little ways down. Come on, boy, let's go home and get something to eat. And then what does he do? He says those, and then what are the actions that go with what he said there, Maya?
He got the dog.
Yeah, he fed him a lot of food, right? He let him eat until he couldn't eat anymore. So let's go home and get something to eat. All right, so up here to my actions, I might add that he let the dog eat until full, you might add, right? So he didn't limit the dog. He left the gate open. What are these things? What are these actions or these sayings? Tell us about Billy. Eli?
He's caring.
He's caring, right? We know he's very caring. This is a dog that wasn't even his, right? He interrupts a dog fight, which could be dangerous for him. He feeds the dog. So we know that Billy is definitely caring. Josh?
He's a nice guy on the inside.
Okay, so you might say kind, right? Nice. Other words, Nick?
He likes red hound.
Okay, you might say he has kind of a, he likes them. I'm trying to think of some other words to describe that.
He's a dog person.
He is, but specifically these, right? He wasn't necessarily going to intervene until he realized it was this hound, right? Right. So that was part of why he intervened. He has kind of a soft spot for that type of dog because he knows the dog and he knows those dogs' personalities.
Apparently he had one when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Now, do you think Billy as an adult is similar to Billy as a child?
He might have
Pretty-
changed a little.
Okay, you think there could be some changes?
Yeah.
All right, why? Josh?
Well, because when you're a kid and then you're an adult, you gotta deal with much more stuff.
Okay. Life in general is different, right? You're dealing with different things. Okay, good. Nick?
Like when it comes to the dog, he might be like saying, like when he was a kid, he just he like knew there was a dog, but then when he was older, he got nicer because he liked it because it was a red hound.
Okay. So you're thinking maybe he became even a kinder person? So think about whether it's Billy as a kid or somebody else, maybe even yourself. If you come across a dog like this, maybe you didn't, I'm not encouraging you to break up a dog fight by any means. Very dangerous. Don't do that. But if you were to come across a dog that maybe came to your house and you fed it and it kind of hung out as a child, would you just be like, okay, now you can go away?
No.
What are the thoughts of most kids, or what are they going to want to try to do, Maya?
Keep it forever.
Right. Right, as a child, myself included, I probably would have been begging my parents to keep that dog. Right? Can I please keep this dog?
Probably
It
wouldn't
came to
tell them
me.
until they found it.
Okay, so that could be a difference right there, right? As a child, you have some different thoughts, right? Where here, adult Billy was like, dog needs to do what he needs to do, right? He's not a dog I can keep locked up. Okay, he needs to be free-spirited and run around and that kind of stuff. So he was considering those feelings of that animal.
That's why you have backyards and front yards.
Okay, all right, let's go to... no, we're not going to read chapter 2 today. I know. Not today. But we're going to go to this characterization worksheet. I'm going to slide our camera back this way. And if I click on that, here it is. So it's called characterization worksheet. And when you open it up, it should look like this. Are you seeing it?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a chance I didn't publish it. So traits, actions, motivations, and emotions we're going to look at here. So in the character spot, you're going to write, you might put adult Billy, okay? Because we're focusing on him right now. We don't know Billy yet as a child. We're going to, okay? So Billy as an adult goes in the character spot. Traits, remember, were those things we talked about that don't change. So I'm not talking about feelings here. I'm not talking about being happy or sad, right? We're talking about traits. What are some traits that we could give Billy right now? We talked a little bit about them already. Nick, what are traits?
He likes red-eyed dogs.
He does. You might say that's a trait, right? He has a soft spot for those dogs, right? He cares very dearly about them. What else?
He's very caring.
Right, caring. Okay, he was definitely caring and kind. Would you say he was helpful?
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? He was helpful to this dog. So those are traits. Those are things that we're probably going to see in Billy as a child. They probably didn't change a whole lot. Maybe they strengthened, or somebody mentioned maybe he became a kinder person, okay, as he grew to be an adult. So those would be traits we could put in here. Kind, caring, helpful, okay? We say what does sentimental mean? Ooh, sentimental, yeah, what does that
You know
mean?
what it means by dog?
I feel like
You probably do. You've probably heard the word before, right? He's got feelings, right? He cares about this animal, so he feels passionate about it and he wants to help it, right? He doesn't want to see it harmed or hurt. Okay. Actions. We listed a whole bunch of actions, didn't we? You wrote down. So you're gonna type those in here. He broke up the dog fight. He let the dog eat until he was full. He calms that dog down, talks to him gently, right? He's not angry by any means towards that dog. Feeds him and that kind of stuff. Leaves the gate open. Riker,
Are we doing this on iPad?
you're gonna want to, yeah. Okay. So I would get it out, open it up. It's your assignment today.
so we put for character.
You're gonna send it to Notability.
Mine's not sending. Yeah, it's not sending.
Then screenshot it.
Yeah, you can screenshot it and then write on it, or write underneath it, or you can even just put it in Notability, write the word character and adult Billy.
No, you could,
Okay.
you can edit it. You could send a screenshot. Just send it to
All right. Either way, you're gonna want to get that filled in.
It's long for character. Do we put adult Billy?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
That way we know we're reading about him right now. Motivations. Why does this character do these actions? Oh. Why does he do these things? Kenny?
Because it brings back good memories.
Right,
And
it-
he knows the dog.
Right, the dog fight brought back memories for him. Okay, and we've mentioned he really likes this kind of dog. He really likes these hounds. So that's why he's doing the things he's doing. Okay? And then emotions. How does the character feel? Kind of goes through some different emotions, right?
Yeah.
What are some emotions he goes through? Let's finish our discussion and then you can type it all in.
Oh,
Okay?
I know.
Josh?
He's like sad when the dog leaves.
Okay, he is sad when the dog leaves. So how does he feel when the dog fight's taking place?
He feels very mad.
Okay, he's upset, right? He's kind of angry because these dogs are ganging up on this other one. So we go from mad, angry to what?
Sad.
In the end, is there anything in the middle?
Yeah, he's happy.
He is, right? He's kind of happy. Again, he's feeling sentimental, right? He's kind of feeling emotional about this dog and what's happening. Okay? And then in the end, he's sad because the dog does leave. It doesn't stick around. He's like, yeah, I could have kept this dog, but I don't. It's better that he goes. And he's kind of in a reminiscing mood now as we move into chapter 2. Okay? So these things here, you might have some already written in your notebook. You're going to transfer them to this worksheet on on Schoology. And then you're going to submit that for today. That's not what I want. There it is. I want to close this. There we go. So you're going to submit that back to the characterization worksheet. And that is it for today. Nothing out of the packet. Make sure you have, I had a lot of people that did not submit these predictions yet. Okay. There's 19 of you that have not submitted yesterday's assignment. Please make sure that gets done. Okay. So you have that to do. If you did not, the vocab worksheet, we worked on that together. So if you watched the video, you should have been able to submit that right after. I didn't have you submit it, right? We changed that. So that should be done and in your notebook so you have those vocab words. All right, so reading is the characterization worksheet, submitting that, working on those book reports.